Are you struggling to build a histogram or you don't know how to decipher the results? Let me show you how. So here we are in Tableau desktop, and if you want to follow along, the dataset is available in the description below. So the whole idea of a histogram is this. Say I have a unique list of something, okay? In our case, it's row ID, meaning each number of this row ID only appears once. In essence, that column has no duplicates, okay? That's really important because when we do a histogram, especially in Tableau, it's looking at it at row level. This will make more sense in a little bit. So if I bring in the sales into columns, you can see here I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the label, which is this button right here. So if I add that label, you're going to see there's sales that cover a wide range. And I can already tell it goes all the way up to here, which is like about 25,000, just because of the way the scale has adjusted. And if I scroll down, there is a lot of orders in this data set. And this is a common problem. If I have a stakeholder and I'm trying to explain, well, what's the spread? What's the distribution of our sales over time? It's very hard to tell that from here. And this is where a histogram plays an important role. So what we're essentially going to do is say I isolate just these 20. Okay, I'm going to hover, keep only. What a histogram can do, if I expand this, is how many of them are between 0 and 100? How many row IDs are between 100 and 200? If I sort it, that'll make a little bit more sense. So I can say, well, you have these ones are from 0 to 100. You have the next group which is only this one, 0 to 200. This one's 200 to 300. This is 400 to 500. This is 600 to 700, and so on. So basically what we're doing is we're grouping them by a set amount and counting how many rows. This gives us a really condensed view to see what the distribution is. So here's how you do it. You first select the measure you're going to be using. In our case, it's sales. So I'm going to right-click sales, go create BINS. All right, so if I go in there, Tableau is going to give me a name, right? You give it a name, and then you say suggested bin size. In our previous example, I was saying 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300. So basically the buckets are going to be 100 in our case. So I'm going to set that to 100 and go OK. And there we go. So now what we do is when we bring this into the visualization, let's say into columns, you're going to see those buckets created all the way up to the maximum number of our data set, which is $22,600. That's around about the maximum in our data set. Now what we want to do is count the number of row IDs. So I'm going to right click drag, so just holding that right click button on your mouse and drop it into rows. Essentially what we're doing is counting the number of rows. And because the row ID is unique, there's no duplicates, count and count distinct are equivalent. Okay, so count. And there you go. So this is now a very condensed view. And let me move my face for a second. If I switch this to entire view, you're going to see the full spread of the data. And if I just do a little bit of a square here, there we go, you'll see a little bit of a highlight. See these little dots? Those are tiny little bars. All right, so it says there's one row that did $11,200, around that range. And there's one all the way up here, which did 22,000. So as a distribution, this is perfect because I can now tell my stakeholder, well, a majority of the concentration is up here, and you have a smaller amount down here. And he can say, well, let's ignore that first part because we know this with the smaller sales. Let's have a look at the ones near the bottom. So if I highlight that, hover, and click exclude, it will bring those other ones into view. And I can see now, oh, wow, okay, so there's actually a number of customers that are down here doing a huge spend, but only one transaction. Whereas there's a lot of customers here making repeated transactions, 35, and they're spending around $1,400 to $3,000. So that's the beauty of a histogram, in that we can see this distribution in a really condensed format, even though we may have millions, hundreds of millions, even billions of rows of data. That is a histogram. I teach it in crazy detail on my website, Jellyman Education. It's in the description below if you want to learn that. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.